Today we are making dark chocolate brown sugar cookies, and I found this recipe on Pinterest and they said they taste like Oreo cookies, so we will see how that goes. So to start, I have a large mixing bowl. I have 1 stick of butter at room temperature, so a half cup. To that, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar. I'm using light brown sugar. You can use dark brown sugar. This is just what I had in my container. Then we're gonna go ahead and just cream the butter and the sugar together until it's light and fluffy. Now this is a lot easier if you have a hand mixer or a stand mixer. If you are using a stand mixer, the recipe said to use a paddle attachment on medium speed, about 3 minutes. I'm just gonna keep mixing until I get tired of doing it by hand. So this is where I'm going to stop mixing and move on with the recipe. I'm gonna add 1 egg. If that's room temperature, that'd be great too, but mine probably just came right out of the fridge. We need 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a little bit more for good measure. We're gonna mix those together. You want to make sure your egg gets mixed in really well. Now it's time to just add in the rest of our ingredients. First, we're going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, and I'm gonna spread that out over my mixture just because I want to make sure that my leavener gets mixed in really well, because you never want like big clumps of it. It has a bitter flavor to it, so it's just unpleasant. Additionally, we're going to add a teaspoon of cornstarch and a pinch of salt. I'm gonna give those a quick mix in before we add our last 2 ingredients. Then we need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Be sure to spoon it into your measuring cup. And since these are dark chocolate cookies, we're going to be adding a 1/2 cup of special dark cocoa powder. If you don't have special dark, I'm sure regular cocoa powder will still be delicious. Now give everything a good mix together. Start slow because cocoa powder is just that. It's very powdery, and if you mix really fast, it's just gonna come up in a cloud. And then this is going to take a little while to come together. It's really dry, but don't worry about it. It will come together in the end. So in the end, you will have 1 big stiff dough ball. So scrape it all together into a ball. Scrape down your sides, scrape down the bottom of your bowl. I did give it a taste test just to see what we're working with here, and it was quite tasty. So this needs to sit in the fridge for 1 hour. Go ahead and cover it. I didn't have any plastic wrap, so I just put a tea towel on top. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and I took my dough out of the fridge at about 50 minutes, just so it could soften slightly so it's easier for me to handle. I'm going to line my cookie sheet with some parchment paper just for easy cleanup. I'm going to take a cookie scoop. The recipe says to use a 1.5-inch scoop. This is a 50, that's the number of this cookie scoop, and it is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to scoop out my cookie dough, and the recipe says to place them 2 inches apart. Now these cookies don't spread out a ton, so if they're a little closer than 2 inches, don't worry about it, but we are going to be flattening these before we pop them in the oven. So you're going to need to get out a glass or something that has a flat bottom, and we're told to spray the bottom of a glass with cooking spray. I didn't have any, so I just took some vegetable oil, and you're going to flatten these cookie dough balls. You may need to re-oil or respray your glass or whatever instrument you're using to flatten the cookie dough. Then once you are done flattening, we're going to bake these for 8 to 9 minutes or until the edges have set and the tops are just beginning to set. So we're gonna start with 8 minutes. Always start with a lesser time. Then, once they're done, take them out of the oven and you're gonna let them sit on the cookie sheet for 2 minutes before taking them off to cool. So my batch gave me about 27 cookies in total. But now it's time for the taste test. And so these cookies are so subtly sweet. They're like a chocolate cake brownie cookie, if you could just combine all of them together. The big question though, does it taste like an Oreo? I would say it tastes like the cookie part without the cream. A couple final notes. When the recipe says bake until the edges are set and the top is just starting to set, the author of this recipe left a note saying that when the tops are no longer glossy, they're starting to become matte, that is when they are just starting to set. And if you want them to keep a little more volume, pop your cookie dough back in the fridge between baking batches. If you think these cookies would be delicious, give this video a big thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe for more content. And if you guys are interested in another delicious cookie recipe, go ahead and click here on screen, and I will see you guys there.